It starts the same way most Halloween nights do. Cold air, distant laughter, and the illusion that fear is just part of the fun. But sometimes, what hides behind the masks isn't pretending. Jack-o'-lantern Scene 1, The Party. There's something about Halloween parties that feels different from any other night of the year. Maybe it's the darkness. Maybe it's the anonymity. Or maybe it's the fact that for one night, people feel free to become someone else. That's exactly how it began. A house at the edge of a quiet suburban street. Music pulsing through the walls. Lights flickering like a heartbeat. Inside, over 100 people had gathered. Costumes, laughter, drinks, chaos. And at the center of it all was Nick ***. Nick wasn't just hosting a party. He was creating an experience. Every hallway had been transformed. Cardboard walls turned the house into a maze. Fake blood smeared across doors. Mannequins posed in disturbing positions. It was the kind of place where you couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. And that was exactly the point. The atmosphere. Upstairs in Nick's bedroom, a small group had escaped the chaos. The music downstairs was loud, but up here it felt distant. Muffled, almost unreal. 5 friends sat together, talking, laughing, trying to catch their breath from the overwhelming energy below. But beneath the laughter, there was something else. A strange tension. The kind you don't notice at first. The kind your brain quietly registers before your body understands why. Speaker, high volume, the first sound. Then it happened. Bang! A loud, sharp noise echoed from downstairs. At first, nobody reacted. Halloween, after all, is full of loud sounds. Props, doors, people messing around. Then it came again. Bang! This time different. Not playful. Not part of the party. Something about it felt wrong. The room went quiet. 5 people suddenly alert. Listening. Fearful faced the realization. Then came the screams. Not laughter. Not excitement. Screams. Raw, panicked. The kind that doesn't belong at a party. And in that moment, everything changed. Nick stood up too quickly, knocking something over. "Stay here," he muttered, though his voice didn't sound convincing even to himself. He opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and disappeared. Hourglass not done waiting. Time slows down in moments like that. Seconds stretch into something unbearable. The group sat frozen, listening, trying to make sense of what they were hearing. Footsteps, shouting, something heavy hitting the floor. And then, silence. Door the return. Nick came back, but he wasn't the same. His face drained of color, his eyes wide, unfocused, like someone who had just seen something irreversible. "What happened?" someone whispered. Nick didn't answer right away. Instead, he locked the door, turned off the lights, and said something that made everyone's blood run cold. "Hide." Hole hiding in the dark. No one asked questions. They didn't need to. Something deep inside them already knew. This wasn't part of the party anymore. This was real. People scattered. Closet. Under the bed. Behind storage boxes. Every movement was rushed, but silent. Every breath controlled. Because suddenly, the house didn't feel like a place anymore. It felt like a trap. Footprints, the intruders. Downstairs, the music stopped. Completely. A voice echoed through the house. Loud, aggressive. Commanding silence. Then another voice. And another. More than one. That realization hit harder than anything else. They weren't alone. Hash pistol, the sound no one forgets. A sudden noise shattered everything. A gunshot, then another. Short, controlled, deliberate, and then nothing. No music, no laughter, no movement, just silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy. Hash person male the approach. Footsteps, slow, measured, coming upstairs. Each step creaked under pressure, each one closer than the last. Until finally, they stopped, right outside the bedroom door. Hash door the door. The handle moved. Once, twice, locked. A pause. Then, a violent impact. The door shook. Another hit. And another. The sound echoed through the room like thunder. No one moved. No one breathed. And then, a gunshot. The lock broke. The door creaked open. Hash eyes under the bed. From beneath the bed, all you could see were boots. Dark, heavy, stepping slowly into the room. Scanning, waiting, listening. The kind of patience that feels practiced. Hash anxious face with sweat the closet. The footsteps stopped. Right in front of the closet. The door opened. A voice inside. Begging, pleading, offering anything for their life. The intruder didn't shout, didn't rush. He simply spoke, calm, controlled, and then gave an order. Come downstairs. Hash stopwatch the longest wait. Minutes passed, or maybe longer. Time didn't feel real anymore. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They just waited, hopping, praying that it was over. Hash police car light the aftermath. Eventually, the front door slammed. Footsteps faded. Silence returned. Real silence. The kind that tells you it's finally over. Hash what they found. When they finally came downstairs, the illusion of Halloween was gone. No decorations mattered anymore. No costumes. No music. Because on the floor were two bodies, still, lifeless. And suddenly, everything became clear. This wasn't a random act. This wasn't a prank. This was something far darker. Hash broken heart, the consequences. That night didn't end when the police arrived. It didn't end when the news spread. And it didn't end when people tried to move on. Because some nights follow you forever. Nick changed after that. The life of the party became a shadow of himself. The guilt, the memories, the questions with no answers. They stayed. And eventually, they consumed him. Hash clapperboard transition. But here's the thing about Halloween. It doesn't end with one story. Because somewhere else, on the same night, another door was about to be knocked on. And this time, the horror wouldn't come from outside. Hash warning mini cliffhanger ending. A quiet house, a single person inside, and a knock that refuses to stop. At first, it feels like a joke, until the sound moves closer. There's a certain kind of silence that only exists late at night. Not the peaceful kind, not the comforting kind, the kind that feels watchful, like the world outside has gone still. But something somewhere hasn't. Hash houses scene 2, the house. It was his first Halloween alone. A small corner house. One floor. A basement beneath. Nothing unusual. No history of strange events. No reason to feel unsafe. Just a quiet home in a quiet neighborhood. That's what made it worse. Because fear doesn't always begin in places that look dangerous. Sometimes it begins where you feel the safest. # 11 o'clock 11:00 p.m. The night had already settled in. Most of the trick-or-treaters were gone. The streets were quieter now. Inside, the glow of a television flickered across the room. A horror movie played, ironically. But it wasn't the movie that made him uneasy. It was the feeling. That subtle creeping sensation. That something wasn't right. Door the first knock. Then, knock. Soft, almost polite. He barely reacted. Probably kids. Halloween had a way of stretching later than expected. Still, something about the timing felt off. He glanced at the clock. 11:00 p.m. Too late. Thinking face ignoring it. He stayed seated, waiting, expecting it to stop. And it did. No footsteps. No laughter. Nothing. Just silence again. Door the second knock. Then, knock knock. This time louder. More deliberate. He stood up slowly. Walked toward the door. But stopped halfway. Something didn't feel right. He turned instead and looked through the window. The porch was empty. # waxing crescent moon, nothing there. No kids. No shadows. No movement. Just an empty porch under a dim light. He frowned. Waited a few seconds. Still nothing. Face with steam from nose annoyance turns to irritation. He opened the door quickly, hopping to catch someone running away. But again, nothing. The street was empty. The bushes were still. No footsteps fading into the distance. No giggling. No signs that anyone had even been there. Locking in. Annoyed now, he shut the door and locked it. Then locked it again. And for good measure, checked the windows. Everything seemed normal. Secure. Safe. At least, that's what he told himself. # bed retreat. He headed to his bedroom. Closed the door. Locked it. Turned the TV on again, louder this time. Trying to drown out the unease. # speaker, high volume the pounding. Then it started again. But this time, it wasn't knocking. It was asterisk pounding. Heavy, aggressive. Relentless. The front door shook with each impact. Boom. 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 # fearful face, something's wrong. This wasn't kids anymore. No prank lasts this long. No joke feels this real. The pounding didn't stop. Not for seconds. Not for minutes. For half an hour. Non-stop. # brain, the mind begins to race. Your brain does strange things in moments like that. It tries to rationalize. Maybe it's multiple people. Maybe it's a drunk neighbor. Maybe. But every explanation starts to fall apart. Because none of them explain why it hasn't stopped. Exhaustion. Eventually, somehow, he drifted off. Not into deep sleep, but into that restless, half-aware state, where fear lingers just beneath the surface. Alarm clock 2:00 a.m. He woke up suddenly. No reason. No sound. Just awake. The TV was still on, flickering light across the room. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. # speaker, high volume the realization. Then he heard it again. Knock. But not from the front door. Not from outside. From asterisk inside the house. Hash door the bedroom door. The sound came again. Closer now. Clearer. Knock, knock. On his bedroom door. Hash face screaming in fear, pure fear. His body froze. Completely. Every instinct screaming the same thing. You're not alone. Hash searching for anything. He moved quickly now, looking around the room. Anything that could be used as a weapon. A bat, a lamp, anything. But nothing felt like enough, because whatever was outside that door had already gotten in. Hash locked with key, the handle moves. The doorknob rattled. Slow at first, then harder, more desperate. Whoever or whatever was out there was trying to get in. Hash brain a desperate idea. Panic does something interesting. It forces creativity, even in the worst situations. And in that moment, he had an idea. Hash pistol the illusion. He grabbed his phone, opened an app, searched quickly, his hands shaking. Then, a sound played. A gunshot, loud echoing, real enough to fool anyone. Hash speaking the bluff. He shouted toward the door. That was a warning shot. Leave now or the next one won't miss. Silence. A long, heavy silence. Hash footprints retreat. Then, footsteps. Vast. Moving away. Across the house. Toward the front door. Hash door escape. The sound of the door opening. Then slamming shut. And just like that, they were gone. Hash aftermath. He stood there, frozen, listening, waiting for anything. But nothing came. Hash detective the investigation. When he finally opened the bedroom door, the house was empty. But one thing stood out immediately. The front door was wide open. Hash telephone receiver calling for help. He shut it quickly, locked it, then called the police. His voice still shaking, trying to explain something that barely made sense even to him. Hash question marked the unanswered questions. There were no clear answers, no suspects, no explanation for how someone got inside without being heard, or how long they had been there. Watching, waiting. Hash clapperboard transition. 2 stories, 2 nights, 2 moments where fear became real. But Halloween has a way of weaving these moments together. Because while one person escaped, another was about to realize something far worse. Sometimes, the danger isn't outside your house. Sometimes, it's already inside. Hash warning mini cliffhanger ending. A phone rings in an empty house. A voice breathes on the other end. And somewhere nearby, someone is watching. There's something deeply unsettling about a phone ringing in an empty house. Not during the day, not when people are around, but late at night, when the world feels distant and silence fills every corner. Because a phone call means one thing. Someone is trying to reach you. And sometimes, you don't want to know who. Houses scene 3. Alone but not really. He wasn't supposed to be alone. Not really. His mom had just stepped out with his younger sister, taking her trick-or-treating around the neighborhood. It was supposed to be simple. Stay home, hand out candy, watch some TV. A quiet Halloween. For once, Jack-o'-lantern, the beginning feels normal. The first hour passed easily. Doorbell rings. Kids in costumes. Candy handed out. Laughter. Normal. Safe. Exactly what Halloween is supposed to feel like. Hash telephone the first call. Then, the phone rang. Loud. Too loud. The kind of ring that makes your heart jump, even when nothing's wrong. He picked it up casually. Hello. Nothing. Just faint movement. A subtle shuffling sound. Like someone holding the phone but not speaking. Hash face with raised eyebrow brushing it off. He frowned. Hello. Still nothing. Then, the call ended. He rolled his eyes. Halloween prank calls. Typical. He didn't think much of it. At least not yet. Hash television back to normal. He went back to the couch. The TV played on. A horror movie marathon, fitting for the night. But something had shifted. A small crack in the feeling of safety. Barely noticeable. But there. Hash telephoned the second call. The phone rang again. Same number. Same silence. This time, he listened more carefully. And that's when he heard it. Breathing. Soft, slow. Intentional. Hash neutral face trying to stay calm. He smirked slightly, trying to convince himself it was a friend. All right, very funny, I know it's you. No response. Just breathing. Then, click. The line went dead. Hash brained the doubt. Now the unease began to grow. Because something didn't feel like a joke anymore. There was no laughter. No reveal. No payoff. Just silence. Hash crescent moon time passes. Minutes turned into nearly an hour. The doorbell rang less often now. The streets outside had grown darker. Quieter. The kind of quiet that presses against your ears. Hash telephoned the third call. Then it rang again. This time, he hesitated, staring at the phone, watching it ring, as if answering it would somehow make things worse. But curiosity always wins. He picked up, Hash speaking the voice. At first, nothing. Then, a voice, distorted, low, almost unnatural. I'll be seeing you tonight. Hash fearful face fear sets in. His stomach dropped. That wasn't a prank. That wasn't a joke. That was something else entirely. Something real. Hash mobile phone off denial. He slammed the phone down. Nope. He wasn't going to play along. Wasn't going to feed into it. It had to be someone messing with him. It had to be. Hash high voltage the darkness. Then, everything went black. The TV shut off. Lights gone. The house swallowed in darkness. Hash frozen. He stood there, completely still, heart racing, trying to listen, trying to understand. Hash door the impact. Then, a violent bang. From the front door. Not knocking. Not pounding. Slamming. Like someone trying to break it down. Hash face screaming in fear breaking point. Fear took over completely. He started screaming. Not out of weakness. But because in that moment, there was nothing else to do. Hash face with tears of joy the twist. Then, laughter. From outside. Familiar. Recognizable. Relief flooded in. He ran to the door and opened it. And there was his friend, laughing uncontrollably. Hash face with steam from nose anger. You think this is funny, he snapped. The prank, the calls, the banging. All of it. His friend nodded, still laughing. Hash question marked the problem. But something didn't add up. "You didn't sound like that on the phone," he said. Confused, Hash faced without mouth the truth. His friend stopped laughing. "What are you talking about?" "I didn't say anything on the phone, I just breathed." Hash the realization. Silence. A heavy, crushing silence. Because that meant there was someone else. Hash magnifying glass tilted left the evidence. They checked the fuse box outside. Opened. Wires cut. Clean. Intentional. Hash person male panic. Both of them ran back inside. Locked every door. Every window. Suddenly, the house didn't feel safe anymore. It felt exposed. Watched. Hash telephone receiver calling for help. They called his mom. Then the police. Trying to explain something that didn't fully make sense, but felt very, very real. Hash round pushpin the trace. The call had been traced. A public phone. Near a bar. Not far from the house. Hash question marked the unanswered fear. Was it a prank? Or something worse? Someone watching? Waiting? Planning? Hash clapperboard transition. By now, a pattern is starting to emerge. Halloween isn't just about costumes. It's about concealment. About people becoming unrecognizable. And sometimes, that mask hides something dangerous. Hash warning mini cliffhanger ending. A man stands on the street, wearing a mask, holding a lantern. He doesn't move. He just watches. And no matter where you go, he's always there. Hash movie camera part 4, the man who never left. There are some fears that pass quickly. A loud noise. A shadow in the dark. A nightmare that fades with the morning light. But then there are the fears that stay with you. Not because of what they did, but because of what they almost asterisk did. Halloween was always supposed to be about freedom. Kids running through neighborhoods. Pillowcases filling with candy. Laughter echoing through the night. And on that particular evening, everything felt exactly as it should. Streetlights glowing softly. Porches decorated in fake cobwebs. Families standing outside, smiling, waving. It was safe. Or at least, it looked that way. Hash eyes the first glimpse. They noticed him by accident. A man standing near the sidewalk. Completely still. Wearing a mask. Holding a lantern. At first, nothing about it seemed strange. It was Halloween. People dressed up. That's what made it fun. But something about him didn't fit. Hash male too still. He wasn't talking to anyone. Wasn't walking. Wasn't interacting. Just standing. Watching. And when they passed him, he didn't turn his head. He turned his entire body. Slowly. Deliberately. Following them with his gaze. Hash uneasy laughter. They laughed it off. Creepy costume, one of them joked. But the laughter felt forced. Because deep down, they all felt it. That subtle discomfort. That instinct whispering. Something off. Hash person female moving on. They continued down the street. House to house. Collecting candy. Trying to ignore the feeling. Trying to return to normal. Hash he's still there. But then, they saw him again. Further down the road. Standing in a different spot. Same posture. Same stillness. Same lantern. Hash brained the question. How did he get there? They hadn't seen him pass them. Hadn't heard footsteps. Hadn't noticed anything. And yet, there he was. Fearful faced the pattern. It kept happening. Every few houses. He appeared again. Closer each time. Never speaking. Never approaching. Just watching. Person male fear begins to grow. Now the pace changed. They started walking faster. Then a little faster. Trying not to panic. Trying not to make it obvious. Houses the safe house. They reached a house. Knocked quickly. When the door opened, they rushed inside. Explaining everything. Pointing outside. Eyes the confirmation. The homeowner stepped out. Looked down the street. And saw him. Still there. Still watching. Police car light a warning. Later that night, they heard something that changed everything. An adult in the neighborhood had seen the same man. But not just standing. Hiding. Behind a tree. Waving children toward him. Trying to lure them closer. The reality. That's when it stopped being creepy. And started becoming something else. Something dangerous. Clapperboard transition. But sometimes, you don't just get watched. Sometimes, you get followed. Automobile scene 5, the road. Two friends. Walking home. Candy bags in hand. Still shaken from the earlier encounter. But relieved to be heading somewhere safe. Bridge at night, the bridge. They reached a narrow wooden bridge. A shortcut. One they had taken many times before. It was quiet there. Too quiet. Sport utility vehicle, the first car. A black vehicle appeared. Blocking the path ahead. Engine running. Windows rolling down. Speaking the voice. A man leaned slightly out. His voice rough. Unsettling. Hey, can you help me for a second? Brain instinct. Every warning they had ever heard. Kicked in at once. Don't talk. Don't stop. Don't trust strangers. Person female escape. They turned. Walked away quickly. Not running. Not yet. Counterclockwise arrows button the return. The car disappeared. For a moment, they thought it was over. Police car light the second car. Then, another vehicle came speeding around the corner. Stopping right in front of them. Too fast. Too sudden. Bust in silhouette, not alone. This time, there were more people inside. Watching. Waiting. Speaking the offer. Get in, we've got candy. The words sounded wrong. Out of place. Too eager. Too forced. Fearful face, fear peaks. Now they ran. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Automobile the chase. The cars followed. Slow at first. Then faster. Matching their movements. Tracking them. Houses the finish line. Their house came into view. Close. So close. Bell desperation. They reached the door. Slamming the bell repeatedly. Over and over. Door safety. The door opened. They rushed inside. Pointing. Shaking. Trying to explain. Justice. That night, the police found them. Both vehicles. All the men. Caught. Face dashing relief. What could have been the worst night of their lives turned into something else. Survival. Clapperboard transition. But not every story ends like that. Not every danger comes from outside. Sometimes, the real horror is already inside your home. Waiting. # warning mini cliffhanger ending. A child whispers, "Someone is in my closet." You tell them it's just their imagination. Until you hear something move. From inside. There's a rule most people believe without ever questioning it. Your home is safe. It's the one place where you can lock the doors, turn off the lights, and feel protected from whatever exists outside. But what if that rule isn't always true? What if the danger doesn't come from the street, but from inside the walls you trust the most? Houses Scene 6, a normal night. It had been a long Halloween. Nothing unusual. A parent and their young daughter had spent the evening the way many families do. Walking through the neighborhood, collecting candy, laughing at costumes, enjoying the night. By the time they got home, everything felt calm, peaceful, safe. Dinner was made, TV was watched, and eventually, it was time for bed. # crescent moon, the first disturbance. The house went quiet. Lights off. Doors closed. The kind of silence that usually brings comfort. Until soft footsteps. A small voice. "Mom." The daughter stood in the doorway. Her eyes half open, still heavy with sleep. Teddy bear the fear. "There's someone in my closet." It's a sentence almost every parent hears at some point. And almost every time, it means nothing. Just imagination. Just shadows playing tricks in the dark. # slightly smiling face reassurance. Her parents smiled gently. "There's no one there. It's just your mind playing tricks on you." The child hesitated, but nodded, and slowly walked back to her room. Hourglass not done the second time. 5 minutes later, she came back. This time more certain, more afraid. "I heard something moving." Now something shifted. A small flicker of doubt. Person female investigation. They walked together down the hallway. Each step slow, measured. The kind of walk where your brain tells you everything is fine, but your body doesn't believe it. Door the closet. The bedroom door opened. The lights turned on. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Speaking a joke. Trying to ease the tension, the parent called out, "Is anyone in there?" A moment passed. Silence. # speaker high volume the sound. Then, a thud. From inside the closet. Face screaming in fear, instant reaction. Everything changed in a second. Run to the neighbor's house, call the police. No hesitation. No doubt anymore. This wasn't imagination. Door the reveal. The closet door swung open. And inside was a boy. Not a stranger. Not a monster. Someone familiar. The neighbor's son. Pouting face Ray. Fear turned into anger instantly. He was dragged out. Demanded to explain. But what came next was worse than anything they expected. The truth. He wasn't alone. Another boy was still inside the house. Person male the hunt. The parent ran back. Heart pounding. Adrenaline surging. And there, in the bedroom, stood the second boy, holding something. Something that made everything feel sickeningly real. # warning the horror. The child's belongings. Private. Personal. Taken. Violated. Anger symbol breaking point. Anger exploded. Protective instinct took over. The kind that doesn't think. Doesn't calculate. Just reacts. Door the end of it. The boys were thrown out. confronted, warned, and sent away. No police, no report, just a warning. That should have been enough. Brain the afterthought. But some things don't leave your mind. They stay. They replay. They grow worse the more you think about them. Magnifying glass tilted left the discovery. The next morning, something was found. A small hole, drilled through the closet. The realization. They hadn't just been hiding. They had been watching. For who knows how long. Clapperboard transition. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does. Because sometimes, the house itself feels wrong. Derelict Scene 7, the new house. A family had just moved in. New place. New start. Boxes everywhere. Room still unfamiliar. Milky Way late night. It was late. Past midnight. Everyone tired. Unpacking slowly. Trying to settle in. Footprints the footsteps. Then, footsteps upstairs. Clear. Distinct. Face with raised eyebrow confusion. They checked. No one there. Everyone was accounted for. The cold. Later that night, the room turned freezing. Unnaturally cold. Speaker, high volume the banging. Then, banging. From another room. Loud. Repetitive. Person male investigation. A child stepped into the hallway. Heart pounding. Trying to be brave. Eye the figure. And then, they saw it. A figure. Tall. Too tall. Standing in the darkness. Speaking one word. It spoke. Just one word. Boo. Face screaming in fear terror. The scream came instantly. Lights turned on. Parents rushed in. Cross mark nothing there. The room was empty. Completely. Brain the question. Was it imagination? A dream? Or something else? Clapperboard final transition. Halloween ends. The costumes come off. The decorations are taken down. Life returns to normal. But the stories don't disappear. Jack-o'-lantern final reflection. Because the truth is, Halloween doesn't create horror. It reveals it. It gives people the perfect cover, the perfect excuse, the perfect mask. And sometimes, that mask hides something real. Warning final ending hook. So the next time you hear a knock at your door, or a voice on the phone, or footsteps in your house, ask yourself one question. Is it part of Halloween? Or something much worse?